Hello!
Well, hello there.
Oh my God,
It has been a while.
It has been such a long time.
I know.
My God, who are you?
I am somebody I have totally forgotten. I have no idea who I am. I'm reinventing myself.
Actually, I have no idea who you are either.
I know. It's been, what, 2 years now?
God, more is, but it feels like 50.
At least.
Are you that old? Because I'm not.
No, I just use a very good anti-aging cream.
So, folks, this is an audio podcast version of the video the video webcast that we used to do, Samita
Right.
and myself,
Mm-hmm.
called Strategizeher.
Yes.
It was less myself and more Samita.
It was a two-man team,
It was
definitely.
a two-woman team,
Yeah, that too.
tag team.
Yes.
And Strategizeher was all about, because Samita actually has a lot of sense to make when she talks about, well, everything, right?
Not everyone would agree with you on that one, Rabia. But I'm so glad you do.
But when we talk about PR and marketing and trends and strategies, and hence strategize her. There
That's
we
right.
go.
Right.
So now that Samita, I've got her back. We're going to do this series on hopefully a weekly basis or a bi-monthly basis.
Yeah.
Over Skype, since you don't live in Pakistan anymore.
That's right.
But we do want to talk about strategies, not strategizes.
But strategies, new and upcoming things that are happening around us.
Yeah, and things that perhaps need a little bit of tweaking and innovation,
True,
reinventing stuff.
true,
There's so many
absolutely.
youngsters in the I was about to say the audience, because we do these campus conversation series.
Right, and those are really, really interesting. I've been
Yeah.
following them online.
Yeah.
Those are very, very cool.
So I mean, I meant to say that there's so many youngsters who listen to these
Right.
podcasts, are always looking for, a little bit of direction, because
Right.
that's all they need.
Right.
Because they've got great ideas and everything. So what are we talking about today?
Well, it was something that a friend of mine recently told me that her younger sister had done her master's in, which was online analytical marketing. And I was wondering what that was. I had no clue. And apparently it basically is all the Googling and all the searches that you put in, it captures your data and creates specific web pages catered to an individual's history of searching on the internet. And I found that to be extremely interesting, simply because, well, most of the time when you use certain websites like Expedia or wherever, when you've already been on that website and you've used that website, the next time you log in, it shows you searches that based on your previous searches.
Right.
So something that's tailor-made. But like, for example, there's a couple of companies out in the UK now that actually monitor online activity, and then they start posting information to them about whether they're interested in insurance or banking or whatever. So it's not random emails.
Okay.
It's emails specifically catered for an individual,
Right.
which I found was very interesting.
So that's like lead generation, what we do on a B2B activity.
Exactly,
This is happening
but
on a B2C.
Exactly, but this is more on an in-depth performance. It's like not only what your history of searches are, but also what your specific requirements are.
Right.
Like, for example, when you're on a certain destination, certain part of the world, your searches for where's the nearest Pakistan embassy,
Right.
or wherever, and then that website keeps putting up on small little booklets on your screen to say is that you are in so and so time zone,
Right.
because when you move in, and it puts the local Pakistan embassy number on the web screen, and which I found was really interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that existed.
Absolutely.
I found that fascinating.
It is.
Because especially now in Pakistan, the network is so strong that you can pick up your phone and you can ask anyone, where can I find where do I go for
Right.
and you get the information. But
Or what's the
out-
best route for...
Precisely. But in the UK, everything is self-service. So you
Right.
have to do this yourself. So you have to go onto the internet. You have to do all this searching. And then the last thing you want is to have to redo it once you close your browser.
Absolutely.
But it picks that up again. So that it makes a lot of sense for somebody who's not living in Pakistan.
And not just in your browser, also on your phone.
Right.
Because everyone has a smartphone,
Precisely.
especially outside.
Right. And now most of the time when you sign on to certain activities, whether you place an order with Amazon or whether you go into certain websites and you order certain certain things, and they ask you, would you like your information to be shared? And I once made a mistake of saying yes.
Oh my God.
I know.
OMG.
Exactly. And I thought I was going to be hit by one spam after another.
Right.
I was really surprised. They kept sending me information of things I was genuinely interested in. Because on the Amazon website, I had surfed for crockery,
Okay.
for books, for electronics, for all kinds
Stuffed toys.
Yeah, well, no, not really, no. I took
Flip-flop
my collection
shoes.
with me from here.
Okay.
But things. But the next time I went on, and they would send me an email to say,
Right.
by the way, you was looking at, and now there's a discount for these particular products that you were
Right.
looking at.
But Samita, I mean, I can't help but think that, okay, extremely needed.
Right.
And those are things that, let's say, even YouTube will do. So if you've seen a couple of videos, they'll make recommendations and
Right.
suggestions. Like,
Right.
because you saw this, you might be interested in seeing this.
Right.
But when we come to the product environment, your economy also has to be very product rich.
Absolutely.
And you have to have things which can be taken off the shelf and sent out to you.
Right.
So whether it's Amazon, they have to have books in place, an ordering system in place.
Which is why I would
logistics
give
in
2
place.
thumbs up to Jaffarjis who've come up with that new system that we
Right.
can order on, because online is the way to go.
Right.
For any company selling a product or service, it's online. Everyone, first thing that you do is that in Pakistan, the trend is slowly moving away from picking up the phone and asking. Personal recommendations are always important.
Right.
You'll always ask for what your experience has been, and so you'll always ask for somebody or an organization, a PR agency.
Absolutely.
You just don't randomly pick up the yellow book and go for a PR agency.
Right.
You speak to people in the industry, they ask for your information, you ask them for how their experience has been, and it's a sort of like trial and error method. But when it comes to products, and like for example, I need to buy a certain item from, whether it's one of the textile companies, whether it's one of the manufacturing companies,
Right.
I know exactly what it is that I want. I just want to know how is it going to be delivered to my doorstep.
Right.
There's some of these people out there. There's one organization in Lahore, because Lahore is the center for fashion right now. So all the latest fabrics and everything come out over there, and by the time they reach Karachi, they're all out, mostly.
Right.
What this organization does is buy in bulk from the manufacturer and then puts a premium and say, right, we'll ship it anywhere in Pakistan for you.
Okay.
That's incredibly innovative for them, because you can order online and you can do all its e-commerce, and it's incorporating every aspect of the information that you want. They'll tell you what the fabric is, how many yards, etc., which I think is brilliant.
Okay.
But it's just something that a lot of companies need to catch on to over here.
Right.
And obviously it does not work for perishable goods.
Obviously.
But things like what you manufacture, which like Jaffarjis is doing,
Right.
is truly unique. I can send a present to someone anywhere else in Pakistan and not
Absolutely.
have to worry.
But let's say, for example, TCS has started to do this a while back with mangoes.
With mangoes, that's right.
Mangoes from Pakistan are
Right.
probably the best in the world.
Absolutely.
Far better than anything you could get in India or anywhere
Very
else.
true.
But I think the only reason why people abroad don't know that is because we have no way of pushing the mangoes out.
And also, I was actually living in the UK. I know, for example, like I'm going to miss mango season here.
Right.
I need to get my hands on mangoes. I mean, it's one of those no-brainers.
Right.
But apparently, there's so many rules and regulations involved in getting those mangoes over to Pakistan, over to the UK from
Right.
Pakistan, that a lot of people sort of become deterred and they'll go for the Spanish or the Brazilian variety, which are not as good.
Right.
So there has to be a way, but I went recently to one of the Pakistani council events over there, and what was really shocking was the lack of connection, of sharing of information between Pakistan and its councils.
Right.
And it's really surprising, because I knew more about what was going on in Pakistan's IT industry than the economic advisors over there. And
That's
it was
because you know how to use the internet.
Probably. And it's just one of those things. How do you propel Pakistani business out of Pakistan if the various organizations responsible for that are less informed than the people?
Absolutely.
So, that's a very big divide that has to be filled in. We don't only have an IT domain that needs to be looked at. We have such a variety of cultural aspects, not only just the clothes, but also, for example, we're selling a way of life.
Right.
We talk about, we had an exhibition recently in Islamabad from the Kalash industry, from the Kalash area, and I didn't think people would be that interested, but they were. They were arriving at Lok Virsa in throngs to see these people and talk to them and learn more about them, and they had a couple of interpreters and they were talking about their cultural environments.
Right.
And how interesting would something like that be for people living outside Pakistan?
Absolutely.
And it's something that nobody has ever touched on.
And we were talking about Zebin Hania, for example.
Right.
The kind of music or sound
Absolutely.
that they have is very unique to Pakistan and
Exactly.
Afghanistan and everywhere.
And that sort of, their impressions of Pakistan are still the Muni Begums and those kind of, what they would perceive as, but they have not, a lot of them haven't realized that music has progressed.
But even that sound from the time of Muni Begum and Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Saab and everyone, that it's taken years and decades for that sound to actually make it outside.
True.
And much, sorry to say, much of that has come through the Bollywood industry.
Right.
Because Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab
Exactly.
produced albums
Exactly.
in India.
Exactly.
That's how the sound actually went there. So that has to be, that model has to be.
And
perhaps-
what's incredibly sad is that we're probably the last generation
Right.
to appreciate music like that.
Right.
Because I know for a fact that the next generation isn't remotely interested.
Absolutely.
So we need to find a way to sort of break through the Lady Gaga facade that some of them have and sort of introduce them to some of the better aspects. I know Lady Gaga and Nusrat Fateh
I'm
Ali
just
Khan, not in the same
cringing.
breath. I know.
What
I know.
are you smoking?
I know. It's the smog in London. It does that to you.
Okay, so, but just one last thing I want to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
Along the same lines, so it seems that the culture is there. So,
Right.
I mean, when we talk about demand and supply,
Right.
mechanics and what the markets are, and how things are pushed out, so the supply of things that we can export out,
Okay.
or use to make noise in the world,
Right.
exist. Perhaps the only place where we're weak is the logistic channels to actually push those out.
But then there are so many solutions for that. I mean, like it's avenues that need to be explored that haven't already. I mean, like look at Pakistan's industry that has a niche in the world.
Right.
Are mangoes, leather. I wouldn't say you can say our artisans have carved a niche in the world, but we have some pretty amazing artists in Pakistan.
Right.
Fabric, lawns and cottons, etc., etc. Now, I mean, like, I'm not going to say that, compare Pakistan to certain other countries, but I'm going to give an example of an Indian franchise that has taken a modern twist on the same fabric industry,
Don't
which
talk
is
about Fab India.
I am going
Fab
to talk
India.
about exactly. But look at the way they've done that. Just like what Khadi did to
Right.
revolutionize
Right.
the kurtas, Fab India has done that for the kurtis.
But they've taken that to a mass scale.
Absolutely.
And it's all customization. So if you want long kurtas with short sleeves or long sleeves with short kurtas, that you'll find it there.
Absolutely.
You will find the same restriction at Khadi here.
Right. But the thing is that Indian items are freely available. So obviously they have managed to overcome the logistics issues,
Okay.
which we haven't as yet. The Pakistani things on sale in the UK, which I
Right.
can at least speak of, are basically bridal wear. Bridal wear is something that not everybody, you're not going to wear. I mean, but casual, informal, sort of, ethnic.
So you don't want to wear a bridal wear joda to a tea party?
No. No, if I was in Lahore, perhaps.
Come join me for a cup of tea, won't you?
That's right.
Dress formal.
Yeah, watch the Jhumar. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But you see, when I wear one of these kurtas and they all say, "Oh, it's so wonderful. Where'd you
Right.
get that from?" And you're like, Pakistan. And they were just like,
Oh
when
my
you
God.
go, can you bring us back? So basically, it's individuals who now become importers. Why can't the industry take a step forward and sort of open up a teeny tiny outlet and then just have the embassy and various people word of mouth?
To be honest, to defend that industry, I mean, in their defense, I have to say that perhaps they just don't know that these solutions exist here locally. You've got youngsters within universities who can perhaps make you a small logistics solution, which will help you connect
Absolutely.
and even develop a front-end website,
Absolutely.
have a back-end inventory system, and which you can, so these big ERP terms that we use, supply chain and
Right.
all of those other buzzwords
Right,
that we use,
right.
they can be kind of tailored down for the smaller industries and
Yes.
help them push out. And I
Yes.
think that's probably the biggest thing that holds back
Absolutely.
the SME sector.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, I wouldn't put anything past the younger generation. I mean, because they're gutsier, they're willing to take more challenges. They've got more global exposure.
Right.
So as a result, they know the reasons for doing something, and they will find a way to do it.
Right.
As opposed to the previous generations that know that they should, but just don't know how to go about it.
Okay. And we're part of this generation.
I would like to say we would be sort of in between. I would
be in between.
Yeah,
I'm part of the new and upcoming generation.
No, I think it's pretty gutsy. to
Okay,
have
whatever.
like
I think this is a good time to end the show now.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much, Samira.
Pleasure.
Let's see what kind of comments and feedback we garner from the communities themselves.
Yes.
And let's take this forward.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned for more episodes of Strategizeher
That's right.
with Samira Siddiqui and Rabia Kharib.
Signing off.
Signing out.